everyone, welcome to this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. I'm your host, Nathan Karch. Just want to give you a brief update on the 2017 deer season so far in comparison to 2016 deer season. We are about 11,000 deer short than what we were seeing last year, and that's perfectly normal. It's not a drastic change. You're going to have some fluctuation from year to year. I don't know if we can attribute that to just one specific factor. Probably a number of factors: weather, disease, EHD. We saw a lot of populations get affected by EHD, especially in the Cumberland Plateau region in East Tennessee. So we really won't know the total devastation on that as far as population estimates until a couple months from now when our biologists do their population estimates. But we're hoping that it didn't affect as many individuals as social media claims and everything like that. But we are about 11,000 short statewide, and that is the bucks and the does. We're a few thousand short on both of them. But overall, it's been productive. Big deer still being killed. The rut has slowed down dramatically, so some of the bigger bucks that you might have been chasing or got on trail camera, they might go back to their normal habits of just going nocturnal, unfortunately. But I would stick with it, and hopefully you'll have an opportunity. But I want to dedicate this month's segment towards waterfowl. We're kind of dead smack dab in the middle of waterfowl season. You've got a ton of opportunities to partake in. We've got several different birds to hunt. You got your sandhill crane season in, your geese, snow geese and Canadian geese. Then you got your normal ducks. But we'll talk about some of the licensing that you might have to have if you're wanting to go waterfowl hunting. If you're wanting to do it and you maybe build licenses throughout the year and you don't purchase the sportsman's license, you're going to want to have a Type 001, and that's your basic hunt and fish combo. Then you can build on top of that, get a Type 005, and that's your waterfowl permit. That's a state permit for waterfowl hunting. Your Type 006 on top of that, which is migratory bird. And then if you are wanting to hunt WMAs, which is wildlife management areas, you're going to have to purchase an additional license, which is a Type 91, and that gives you the ability to hunt on public land. And that's basically what everybody does here in the Middle Tennessee region. If you go out west and stuff like that, they have a lot more private land that you could possibly hunt and guided hunts. And they generally see a lot more birds than we do, just because they're in the Mississippi Flyway and we're not. We get a few birds here and there, but not near the number that they do. You'll see flocks in the hundreds and the thousands there, so it's very productive. If you really want to have a good time, go out west. But back to licensing. If you're wanting an all-inclusive kind of deal, get your sportsman's license. That takes care of all the state supplemental licenses, whether it be your annual sportsman, your lifetime sportsman, or your permanent senior citizen sportsman. So that'll take care of everything. On top of all those licenses, you will have to purchase a federal duck stamp. It is $25. And that covers you with all the federal regulations and permits. And you do have to sign that across the face. I know a lot of people like to collect those duck stamps and keep them as mementos, and they're really neat, but you have to sign them by law. That way you cannot hand your buddy your duck stamp if they want to go hunting. So you got to sign it. The huge thing about waterfowl is you have got to identify your target before you pull that trigger. It is extremely important, more so than anything, because the bag limits are so species specific, and there's a lot of protected species as well. We've got our tundra swans, trumpeter swans, our whooping cranes, great blue herons. Those species are all protected, so you can't shoot them at all. But our bag limits are geared towards just species. So on your ducks, your daily bag limit for ducks is going to be 6, but that could be 4 mallards, 2 of which can only be female. You can have 3 scops, 3 wood ducks, 2 canvasbacks, 2 redheads, 2 black ducks, or 1 pintail. So you've got to really identify your target before you pull that trigger. Our sandhill crane season is in right now. That's a season that you have to be drawn for to be able to hunt those, and that's 3 for the season. You can bag all 3 in one day if you want, but it's only 3 for the season. And like I said, you have to have an actual permit to do so. Your snow geese, they're a very invasive species. And you generally see them a ton in West Tennessee, as you do all the birds, but you'll get them here and there here. We have a standard season uh, in the state where it allows you to harvest 20 per day. That's your daily bag limit, and you can do that, you know, every single day. But you will also have a conservation season, which allows you to harvest an unlimited amount. There's no bag limit. So they're really trying to get these numbers down. That being said, all waterfowl is a migratory bird. So they migrate back between borders and in Canada and things like that. So you have to have a migratory bird permit, obviously. You have to have a plug shotgun for all migratory birds. Your Canada goose season, it's running right now. That's 3 birds per day. And with ducks and Canada geese, snow geese, whatever it be, your sandhill cranes, which sandhill cranes is the exception. You're only allowed 3 birds. But with all the other migratory waterfowl, you have to have 3 times the daily bag limit. That's your possession limit, and that basically says that if you are out in the field for, you know, more than 3 days, if you were to get stopped by one of the game wardens, you would have to have you know, 3 times the daily bag limit. That's all that you could have in your possession at that specific time, and you would have to maybe go to your house or something like that and drop them off before you could come back and collect more. We'll get into some of the miscellaneous rules and regulations dealing with waterfowl. There's a lot, so bear with me. But if you're hunting wildlife management areas, just be mindful if you're in an area like, say, Old Hickory or Cheatham Lake area, Haynes Bottoms, where you get drawn for a specific blind, and you've got that blind the entire year. You are allowed to use decoys year-round. You can keep them out, but they must be removed 10 days after the season closes. Now, if you're in an area where you don't have a specific blind that you can hunt year-round and you're using a temporary blind and just throwing your decoys out, that blind and the decoys must be removed every single day. So just kind of keep that in mind. If you shoot a banded bird, please report that. There's a lot of beneficial scientific data that we would love to collect, and the feds would love to collect. And it's also pretty neat to kind of find out where that bird is from, because they migrate from you know, crazy distances. So you can look that up. The bird banding lab used to have a toll-free number that you could call and report your banded bird. They no longer do that, so you have to go to the website, and I think they have a mobile application that you can use, but that's going to be www.reportband.gov, and you can report your banded bird that way. As far as wanton waste goes, that's basically just saying that if you've killed a game bird or you've crippled one, you've got to retrieve that bird if possible. Don't leave it laying out in the field. Tagging and gifting. If you're wanting to gift a bird to an individual, you must provide your name, address, the number of birds killed, the species, and the date that you killed those birds. That's extremely important. If you are hunting a blind and you don't want your birds, and we go in and check an individual and you leave, and we see a crazy amount of birds just laying there, we're probably going to charge the people that are laying there, because they might be over their bag limit. So if you provide us with that information, or that individual with that information, then you're good. You cannot be in the possession of any live birds. If you retrieve a crippled bird, it must be killed immediately. Again, must have your plug shotguns, capable of 3 or less. Dressing, You cannot fully field dress any bird in the field. You have to have a head attached or one fully feathered wing for identification purposes. That way that we can identify what exact species it is, and that goes towards your daily bag limit. And then uh, it's also a dual violation if you're found in any state violation. It's also a federal violation because these are migratory birds. So just keep that in mind. Do not want to be in violation because it's a double whammy on that. And then very, very, very important is that for all migratory birds, waterfowl, you have got to use non-toxic shot, whether that be steel shot, it's very popular, tungsten, bismuth, or a combination of all those, as long as it's not toxic, that meaning specifically lead, it's okay to use, but make sure it's non-toxic shot. If you are found in possession of toxic shot, lead, while you're waterfowl hunting, you can and will be prosecuted for that. So just if you use the same exact bag to hunt dove as you do for waterfowl, make sure that you clean that bag out and get rid of all that lead shot. Well, that will wrap up this month's edition of North Central Outdoors. We want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you next time.